What if the very person you treated with disdain and made feel insignificant had the power to completely alter the course of your life? Jeff Matthews was about to find out, and trust me, it wasn't going to be a pleasant lesson. At Spintech, where high-powered executives in suits ruled the roost and cleaners were invisible, one woman quietly observed everything. Yet she wasn't who they assumed she was. In a world where arrogance reigns, karma always lurks, patiently waiting for its moment to strike. So grab a cup of coffee, sit back, and relax, because this story is one you won't forget. Spintech was one of the top tech companies in New York City, and the pace was fast. Deals were sealed in offices on the top floors, offering breathtaking views of the iconic city skyline. Employees moved swiftly, always with a sense of purpose, as if time itself was running out. But today was different. There was someone new among them, though no one knew the real significance of her presence. Her name was Emily Dawson, and to most, she was just the new cleaner. A simple blue shirt, black pants, and sneakers. Her hair tied back in a no-nonsense ponytail, Emily pushed a cleaning cart down the hall, her movements quiet, determined. No one knew she wasn't just a cleaner, she was the true owner of Spintech. Several years earlier, Emily had handed over the role of acting CEO to her older brother, Paul Dawson. Paul made the occasional appearance, but preferred to stay distant from the day-to-day workings of the company. Emily had built Spintech from the ground up, putting in endless hours and effort to make it the powerhouse it was today. But she needed to see how her company was being run behind the scenes, without anyone knowing her true identity. No one could treat her differently due to her status. She needed to blend in and observe. It didn't take long before Emily noticed the toxic attitude of certain employees, particularly in the management ranks. Jeff Matthews, the co-CEO, was the worst of them all. He stood tall, impeccably dressed in his tailored suits, carrying an air of arrogance that seemed to ooze from every pore. To him, people like Emily were nothing more than invisible, disposable workers. Their sole purpose was to clean up after his mess, both figuratively and literally. On Emily's first day, as she swept the hallway just outside his office, Jeff made his presence known. "Hey, new girl," he called out. "You missed a spot." He pointed to a patch of floor that was already spotless. Emily smiled politely, continuing her work without saying a word. But Jeff wasn't finished. "You should be grateful for a job like this. Some people don't even get to step foot inside a building like Spintech," he added, stepping closer, his voice dripping with superiority. "So don't screw it up." Inside, Emily seethed with anger, but she kept her composure. This was her company, and no one, especially not this arrogant man, was going to make her feel less than she was. But for now, she needed to play the role of the invisible cleaner. Weeks went by, and Emily's frustration grew. Every day, she saw more and more of how Spintech was truly being run, how the company she had worked so hard to build was being destroyed from within. The problem wasn't the employees. Many of them were talented, hardworking, and dedicated. The real issue was the management. Jeff Matthews, as co-CEO, wielded too much power and used it in all the wrong ways. He treated junior employees with disdain, barking orders like they were beneath him, while the only people he seemed to respect were the members of the board. Even they weren't safe from his arrogant attitude. Then there was Miss Theobald, the head of marketing, who made cruel, condescending remarks toward the cleaning staff and office workers, as if she were doing them a favor by allowing them to work in the same building. Mr. Carter, the head of finance, misused company funds for personal gain, making a mockery of the company's values. But Jeff's behavior toward Emily? That was the worst of all. He'd linger in the hallways, making inappropriate comments. "You're too pretty to be a cleaner," he'd say with a smirk. "If you play your cards right, maybe I'll help you find a better job here." Emily refused to bite. She knew exactly who she was. But Jeff didn't stop. One day, he cornered her in the break room. "Listen, Emily," he began, lowering his voice, his eyes filled with malicious intent. "You could make your life a whole lot easier if you'd just be more cooperative. Or I could make sure you're out of here by the end of the week." Emily stiffened, a wave of realization washing over her. This man, who thought he had all the power, had no idea he was threatening his own boss. She wanted to expose him right then and there, but she needed to gather more information. More importantly, she needed to be sure of who she could trust before taking action. Meanwhile, her brother Paul kept checking in, asking how things were going. "It's worse than I thought," Emily confessed during one of their evening talks. "Jeff and the others are slowly tearing Spintech apart from the inside out. But I'm not ready to act just yet. I need to be certain of who I can rely on." "Take your time," Paul reassured her. When the time comes, they won't know what hit them. Jeff Matthews, emboldened by his unchecked power, only became more aggressive in his advances toward Emily. His demands grew bolder, and he made it clear that her job was at risk if she didn't comply with him. One evening, he cornered her in the parking lot. "If you don't meet me in my office after hours tonight," he threatened, "I'll have you fired by morning. And believe me, no one else is going to hire a girl like you." Emily's heart pounded in her chest, but she refused to back down. She was done playing this game. It was time to reveal the truth. The very next morning, Emily walked into Spintech, but this time, she wasn't wearing her usual uniform. She was dressed in a sharp white blazer, black pants, and heels, her hair styled neatly. Her presence commanded respect as she walked through the door. Paul had arranged a special meeting with the board and upper management, and as Emily entered the conference room, Jeff didn't recognize her at first. He shot her a confused look, but it quickly turned into a smug smirk. "Lost, sweetheart?" he asked, clearly amused. "This is a board meeting. You're not supposed to be here." But Emily didn't answer right away. She walked confidently to the head of the table and stood beside her brother, who was seated in his usual spot. Paul cleared his throat. "Before we begin today's meeting," he announced, "there's something I need to share with all of you. Actually, it's someone I need to introduce." The board members exchanged confused glances as Paul gestured toward Emily. "This," he said with a proud smile, "is Emily Dawson, the true owner and founder of Spintech." The room went completely silent. Jeff's face drained of color as he realized what was happening. Emily stepped forward, meeting Jeff's stunned gaze. "For the past few months," she began, her voice calm but resolute, "I've been working undercover as a cleaner. I wanted to see firsthand how my company was being run. And honestly, what I found was deeply disturbing." Jeff tried to speak, but no words came out. The rest of the board members sat frozen in shock as Emily continued. "Mr. Matthews," she said, addressing him directly, "you've repeatedly harassed me and other employees. You've misused your position to intimidate others, and worst of all, you've failed to uphold the values this company was built on." Jeff's voice finally cracked. "Miss Dawson, I didn't know. I had no idea." Emily interrupted him coldly. "You had no idea who I was, but that's no excuse for the way you treated me or anyone else here." Paul stood up beside her. "Effective immediately, Jeff Matthews, you're fired. And you won't be leaving quietly. Legal action will follow." Defeated, Jeff slumped in his chair as security arrived to escort him out. Emily turned to face the rest of the board. "For those of you who acted with integrity, your jobs are safe. But for those of you who contributed to the toxic culture here, there will be consequences." Several members of the board and upper management were terminated right then and there. Fear and regret filled the room as Emily listed the names of those who would be dismissed. When the dust finally settled, only a few remained. Emily looked at them with a sense of resolve. "From this moment forward," she declared, "Spintech will be a place of innovation, respect, and integrity. We will rebuild. And we will rebuild stronger." Under Emily's leadership, Spintech thrived like never before. The employees who once overlooked the cleaner now admired her, respecting her for who she truly was. Karma had struck, and justice had been served. Emily had claimed her rightful place, and the company she built from nothing was stronger than ever. Thank you for watching until the end. I hope you enjoyed this story. If you did, don't hesitate to hit that like button, share it with your friends, and of course, subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell for more incredible stories. Have a wonderful day.